YouTube, Facebook, and Tumblr fans? It's time yet again to continue my Summer of Discography reviews with Trivium, and they're over their 2008 album, Shogun. So, before we get started on all that, I just want to ask, how do you like my new haircut? This is actually the shortest I've had my hair in a really long time. I hadn't done anything with it in like 7 months, so it was desperately time to do something with it. So this is as short as I'm going to get it. It used to be down to here, now it's up to here. Took 3 inches off, and that is about all I have to say on that. So just got out of the shower, so that's why it's so wet, so pardon my hair, please. Anyways, Trivium, Shogun, 2008. Where are we after the release of The Crusade, which was known for being a kind of a Metallica knockoff and more of a generic hard rock slash heavy slash thrash metal album, not really in the vein of the metalcore and just hardcore metal that Trivium was known for, the more aggressive side of metal, such as All That Remains, or at least their earlier stuff, and Shadows Fall, and just stuff like that, Killswitch Engage, but they were more on the thrash side, and, you know, adding the element of thrash metal and traditional heavy metal with those bands, so they were really unique back in the day. Then The Crusade came along, like I said, kind of put a generic stamp on them, and now we are at Shogun. What are they going to do? At this point, Trivium are basically going back, trying to revert back to their Ascendancy style, but throwing in some technical stuff. They actually advertise this album as pretty much everything they've ever done, save some technical, you know, leads, basically. So they added in the technical leads. Kind of lost my train of thought there, but with all that added in, sometimes it seems a bit bogged down and convoluted by unnecessary solos, and just, there's a lot of just breaks in the guitar work. The guitar work itself is fantastic, however, when it's added together to make and formulate an entire song, sometimes it just seems to drone on for a little while and seem a little bit uninspired, or like they rushed it, kind of, in some songs. And most prime example for me would probably be either Kirisuit Gomen. Please excuse me if I can't get the pronunciation right. I know they say it in the song, but I'm just going off the top of my head. Kirisuit Gomen. Sorry. And, you know, torn between Scylla and Charybdis. Yeah, something like that. But while these two songs are phenomenal in their own right, the guitar work is excellent. The screams are just pretty much top-notch. The bass kind of overpowers the rhythm section a little bit, but when you add in all of the guitar work together, it just seems like it wasn't meant for that song. You can definitely see this riff was for this riff was, you know, for this song, and it just doesn't really add up once you piece them together. So it seems like you got all these breaks in there. So, like I said, really great leads, really great riffs, but sometimes they just drone on for a little while, or run on way too long. So, to start off, like I said, before I listened to this album, I actually went out and sought out a few reviews of it. Mostly positive, however there were a lot of mixed to negative opinions. Most famously, Cover Killer Nation had a very negative, scathing review of this, saying, you know, it's definitely not, you know, up there with Trivium's earlier work. So he actually liked Crusade. I have to disagree on that. But, you know, I actually kind of do agree with what Mark has to say. However, I'm not that going to be that hard on it. I actually do like this album, but a lot of the points that he made, I agree with. So, you know, getting into it, Kirisuit Gomen, I actually just explained what I think of that one. Torn between Scylla and Charybdis, I really like the screaming on this one. It's a very, very, more of a melodic slash aggressive tone to it. I like the leads. The leads are really good on this entire album, but in this one, it's definitely just lead guitar centric. It's focused around the leads. And sometimes, you know, it does run on for a very long time, just like Kirisuit Gomen did, but I think that's just a trend on this album. The earlier songs aren't as good as the later half of the material, in my opinion. So, Down From the Sky, couldn't really get into this one. It just kind of, it was really a little bit on the slower side, more mid-tempo, and it just kind of ran on for a really long time. The guitar work, as far as I can tell, is a little bit subpar compared to the rest of the album. The leads are fantastic, but the riff structure of the actual rhythm section is where I have my beef with. So, can't believe I just said that, beef with. But anyways, Into the Mouth of Hell We March. This is my favorite song on this album, overall, aside from maybe the bonus tracks and Shogun, the title track. So, it has a very, very good structure. It's the closest you're going to get to Ascendancy style Trivium, with some technicalities thrown in the mix with the guitar work, with the leads. And my only gripe with this song is the solo. It seems a little bit half-assed towards the 3/4 mark of the song. But other than that, the screams are very aggressive. It's a very fast-paced song overall, and has some really phenomenal rhythm section thrown in there. And the opening riff actually sounds a little bit reminiscent of the title track Ascendancy, so that's a pretty good throwback there. So the next one, Throes of Perdition. I really like the intro. It's really just frantic and fast, and this is where the album starts to pick up a little bit. It starts to get a little better when it comes to the rhythm section. So overall, this song is very, very nicely done, well crafted, and I do like the leads thrown in there for good measure. So next one, Insurrection. It's another fast one. Really like it. Really aggressive, and I like the structure overall of it. The Calamity, it's got some really nice vocal harmonies in there. Not so much for screaming, but just the way that Matt Heafy sings this is just very nice. I really like that song. He Who Spawned the Furies, it's more of a filler track. I'm not really too fond of it. The next one is Of Prometheus and the Crucifix. Like I said, a lot of not really hard words to pronounce, but you get my point. It's another very fast one. I really like the sound of the guitar in this one. It's very fleshed out. The screams are very top-notch, and just a very good song overall. So, like Callisto to A Star in Heaven, this is another one. Very good guitar work, screaming and everything, and just everything is where it needs to be. Lots of technicalities in the soloing and everything, but this is just a technical album overall. Like I said, their most technical album to this day. So the next one is, of course, the title track, Shogun, and the closer for the standard edition of the album. However, I'm going to be reviewing the bonus tracks, as those are some of my favorite songs on this album overall. So, the title track, Shogun, it's 11 minutes and 30 seconds, I believe. 11 minutes and 21 seconds, close enough, I had to check. But I like it, I really like it. One of my favorite songs on this entire album, very technical, the rhythm section is very fleshed out, and it even uses the Kirisuit Gomen intro in the chorus and how they're singing it, and it's just a nice throwback overall to the intro of the album. Even though, I like about half of Kirisuit Gomen, I actually really, really like this song overall, just in general. But I do believe that it could have been separated and sectioned off into 3 different parts, a la Dream Theater, like they do with some of their longer songs. They section them off, like Metropolis Part 1, Metropolis Part 2, stuff like that, And I believe there was one album where they actually had a title track on a separate disc, and it was like 5 parts long, and it was like 60 minutes altogether. So yeah, they separated it out. But there are clear-cut marks where you could have separated Shogun out into maybe 2 or 3 different songs, excuse me. So I do like the song, but I do believe that it does run on for a very long time. So Learning to Live by Dream Theater did this, long, progressive song writing a lot better than this song did. But, I digress. I really do like this song, and I do believe it was an excellent closer for the album. But since we're reviewing the bonus material, Poison, The Knife of the Noose. This is a very frantic song. I really like the guitar tone used. It's a different guitar tone than the rest of the album, and there's not as much bass. It's so, the rhythm section isn't drowning in the bass like it was on the previous songs on the standard edition, but it's just very fleshed out, very fast-paced, and very aggressive. I really like the screaming on this one. It is 4 minutes and 14 seconds long, so it is the shortest song. No, He Who Spawned the Furies is the shortest. It's the second shortest song on the entire album, but it's a very, very frantic just opener for the bonus material. And like I said, the bonus material is some of my favorites on this album. So with that, Upon the Shores, this is another one. I actually like this one a lot better than Poison, The Knife of the Noose. And like I said, it's really fast, really aggressive. It's more aggressive than the last track, and it's got really, really excellent screams. It almost sounds like Ascendancy. And like my friend Chainsaw Gears 12, little shout out for you there, he said in his Shogun review that the screams are at an all-time high point for this band at this point. And, I kind of have to agree. I do like the screams on their next album, In Waves, but Sometimes they do seem a bit muffled on that album, but in this one, the production on the screaming, on the vocal tracks, of course, is just practically perfect. So, you know, I do like the screaming, and there's a definite emphasis on the aggression. So the next one is Iron Maiden, the cover of an Iron Maiden track. It sounds like it could be on Garage Inc., to be honest. It sounds exactly like Metallica. Like, when I was listening to it, it's a very, very decent cover. However, it's not Trivium. It doesn't sound like Trivium. But, you know, then again, is that a bad thing? But when I listened to Iron Maiden, I honestly thought I was listening to Garage Inc. I was just had to look back up at the screen, because I was doing like a appeal for college, right? So when I did that, I had to look back up at the screen to make sure I wasn't listening to a Metallica song, you know? It's just, it's a good song, but it sounds too much like another band. So with that, I am going to give Trivium's Shogun a solid 9 out of 10. I really do like this album, but the earlier material on the album, like the starters, weren't that fleshed out, it seems. So with that, 9 out of 10. Thank you very much. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.